Shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yabashai, Baharakah Kodash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to you, brothers out there, the highways and the byways, teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, we know major prophecy coming down the pipeline is the MOTB. And one thing we do speak about is the MOTB system, the infrastructure necessary for the MOTB to exist. And that doesn't, just pop up overnight. Now the decree, well, that happens, that manifests right there and then, doesn't it? But we always tell you that there has to be an infrastructure for such a decree, and that can't be built overnight. So you will see the infrastructure being built, and I would hope that beginning with the apostles and elders, you have seen that we have shown the various infrastructures being built to support the MOTB. One of those infrastructures is the digital ID system, or the various digital ID systems, right, by a nation. That's a massive agenda that's being pushed. Okay. And this is Revelations 13 and 16. It says, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, what's going to come with that mark? What's going to be a part of that mark? The infrastructure is the digital ID. Now, this is why we tell you straight up and down that don't be caught up in the theater of these political parties. At the end of the day, that's all for the manipulation of the people. But in terms of the agenda, it doesn't matter what political party comes into power. The overall agenda is going to go forward. Prophecy is going to go forward. There ain't going to be no political party that's going to come in that's going to go against the agenda and stop the agenda. All right. So, recently the Labour Party have come into power in the UK, and people think things are going to get better. And it's only getting worse because that's the agenda. Now it says Labour inches closer to digital ID cards, which we know the ultimate goal isn't going to be an digital ID card. The digital ID will be on your implantable RFID chip. It says digital ID cards sound a bit Big Brother-ish, but the new Labour government has, despite Tony Blair's best efforts, ruled out introducing mandatory identity passes. But it's gonna come. It's gonna come through crisis. So don't you worry. They're busy fostering that crisis. It says, by contrast, the digital verification services mentioned in the King's speech as part of the Digital Information and Smart Data Bill sounds like a very handy thing in a world where we do so much online. So are civil liberties groups overreacting with cries of digital ID by the back door? Says the proposed digital, and that's exactly what they're gonna do. We're gonna, a lot of things are gonna come through the back door. It's lucky, but anyway, we got a algorithm tomorrow. We're gonna discuss a lot of stuff, but let's read on. It says the proposed digital systems will allow Brits to verify their identity or key things such as age and citizenship status, with no proposal to require such identification on demand from any state authority. Yet, further, they will be administered by private companies, and that's the public-private partnership, which we're going to speak about tomorrow anyway. All the government will provide is a digital identity and attributes trust framework to set standards which digital verification service providers must meet. Being able to prove who you are or that you meet certain criteria, being old enough to buy cigarettes, for example, or whether how much you could buy or if you can buy, for example, is undoubtedly useful, which is why the providers have been pushing for this framework to enable them to expand into a lucrative market. What would turn that convenience? So like here, where was we? What would turn that convenience into papers, please society would be expanding the scope of state powers to require that we prove our identities on demand, which is what's going to happen. That's all going to happen through the MOTB. Unfortunately, once such digital ID systems become widely used, mission creep is difficult to prevent. Even if the state does not directly start demanding papers, which they will, the impossibility of renting a home, starting a job, or opening a bank account without recognized digital ID will make it impossible to function without one. More worryingly, though, is the proposal to link together all our records within government systems into one unified record. Civil servants, exacerbated by the plethora of databases and portals through which we interact with state systems and services, have long pushed for a single administrative identity for each citizen. Sweden is among several countries to assign each person a number that follows them from school to doctor to tax office, and it's easy to see why UK officials look with envy at the ease of linking the different dimensions of our relationship with the state. And they've been doing that even on the welfare side. We have something over here called universal credit, and they basically put all the different welfare you can get all in one thing called a universal credit. It's the consolidation of the admin into the system. All right, interoperability. The UK Visas and Immigration Account already effectively functions as a digital ID to allow non-UK citizens to prove their right to work or rent a home, and can also be accessed by the DWP, HMRC, the DVLA, and NHS. No such system yet exists for the UK citizens, so they're going to start rolling that out. There are good reasons to resist this move. However, easy would make the lives of well-meaning bureaucrats. That ease is not a sufficient reason to make a change with so many pitfalls. The most obvious is that the more unified the database, the more attractive and potentially vulnerable it becomes to hackers. But don't worry about all that hacking stuff, because they're going to have AIs to defend against all that, even though the hackers are really them. They're the hackers. The people who are doing cyber attacks and hacking the system is the system itself. It's problem, reaction, solution. And they're going to say we need Skynet to protect from these cyber attacks. That's exactly what's going to happen. All right, because AI is part of their system. It's what's going to run the system. All right. Anyway, you get the point on that, right? You see how they're going to pass this new bill that's basically going to open up and broaden the scope of these digital IDs. All right. I believe the EU just passed a bill that you're going to require a digital ID to travel to Europe. So this whole digital ID is being pushed, and it's going to go forward. And the digital ID linked in with the CBDC or some other form of digital currency, and all these different technologies and infrastructures are going to come together to form the MOTB system. And all that's going to be left is to make it mandatory that you have to have that chip. But that's going to come. But what has to happen before that is the crisis. So when you see all these political parties telling you they're going to save you from crisis, just know that they're not. Trump and Biden, it doesn't matter who it is, they're there to usher in the crisis and be positioned to bring the solution, which is ultimately going to be one of the main solutions they're going to bring is the MOTB. So you best believe that there's a lot of pain coming down the pipeline. They are not going to make decisions to stop the crises. They're going to make the crises work so that they can bring the solution that they want. All right. This is 2 Corinthians 2:11. It says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices, his plans. Right? And Esau's plan requires chaos. It requires death and destruction and panic to get the people to accept the final stage, which will be to take that chip. All right. Revelations 12:12. That's why we say all these people trusting in these different politicians and Elon Musk and all these different, listen, all these characters are part of the theater, right? But part of the theater is going to be mass chaos, and they're there to bring that in. Right? So it doesn't matter in November who gets voted in. Chaos is coming. Judgment. This is Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he hath but a short time. Right? Yeah, he gonna roll out these infrastructures, but the time's gonna come where to get that final thing pushed through, there's gonna have to be crisis. You're gonna have to be poor. You're gonna have to be starving. You're gonna have to be scared. Yeah. Just give me. Okay, yeah. If I'll take it. Just make everything good again. That's that's the time we're going into. So when you track what they've been doing in these especially in these Western countries, it's pain. All the decisions these different parties have made on the left and the right have led up to this point, and it's just pain, and more pain is going to come down the pipeline because they need that crisis. It's prophecy. So with that, I'm going to say shalom.